Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolfe Pit. If it's done right, slow smoked barbecue pulled pork is simply one of the best foods in the world. Whether you have it by itself on a platter with your favorite sides, or you pile it high on your favorite bread or bun. Good pulled pork can take 10 to 14 hours to make, and although it's time consuming, it's really easy to make and can be made on any grill. Another barbecue delicacy is brisket burnt ends, a favorite of all barbecue lovers. Burnt ends come from the heavily marbled and very flavorful point cut of the brisket, also known as the decal. But just like the pork shoulder in making pulled pork, it's relatively easy and you can do it on any grill, but it takes a lot of time. So when people don't want to spend 10 to 14 hours or more in some cases making barbecue, and they don't have a good local barbecue joint, they opt for pre-made barbecue that all you have to do is heat and eat. Like Curly's West Coast IPA style pulled pork or Curly's Kansas City style seasoned burnt ends with barbecue sauce. The West Coast IPA style pulled pork is hickory smoked and sauced with an IPA based barbecue sauce. This is part of Curly's Special Edition Road Trip Eats. This 1 pound container of pulled pork is gluten-free and fully cooked and costs about $6. Curly says his West Coast style pulled pork has captured the casual elegance of the Pacific coastline. Everything feels so authentic here with the music and the beachside bonfires. Curly loves savoring these moments with Curly's tasty IPA style barbecue sauce. It's fitting for all ages and perfect for sandwiches. And Curly wishes you could taste this. Well, Curly, your wish is going to come true because I'm going to taste it. I'm very happy to say the meat portion is all meat and no protein fillers, so that alone is going to get Curly 1 point before I even open up the package. The rest of the ingredients appear to be for the sauce and seasonings. IPA is not one of the ingredients. There's about 3 half-cup servings per container, which is about 5.3 ounce servings. Per serving, there's 190 calories, 4.5 grams of total fat, 1.5 grams of saturated fat, no trans fat, 45 milligrams of cholesterol, 810 milligrams of sodium, 22 total carbohydrates, less than 1 gram of fiber, 18 grams of sugars, and 15 grams of protein. The barbecue itself comes in a vacuum sealed bag that is then sealed again in a heatable container. Now I did freeze this because I had to go out of town and it would have expired when I was gone. So that's why it's frozen, and I'll definitely take that into consideration when I score at the end. This pulled pork can be heated in the microwave or stovetop. I didn't see any positives or negatives to either method, so I went with the easy route and nuked it. It said to empty the pork into the black tray, then heat for 2.5 minutes on 50% power. I did that for about 6 minutes since it was still frozen. Then stir the meat and heat for another 30 seconds. This took about 2 more minutes. Again, this is no fault of Curly's, it's mine for freezing it. After a total cook time of 8 minutes at 50% power from a frozen state, it was thoroughly heated through. And it looked just like I expected, like crock pot barbecue, which definitely isn't authentic barbecue, but I've had some pretty good crock pot barbecue, so it can be delicious. But what was a nice surprise is there wasn't a pool of fat. Even though I love fat, the tubs of barbecue I've had before looked like they were half filled with lard. I gave it a taste, and it definitely didn't blow my mind with flavor. As a matter of fact, it was on the bland side. But even though I didn't see it in the ingredients, I got a subtle IPA flavor, which was better than I anticipated. On its own, it was pretty good for store-bought barbecue. I've had some that was simply inedible, but in order to give this a true taste, you gotta make a sandwich. So I made a sandwich, and I think I put a little more than the recommended 5.3 ounces on here. But you go big or you go home. Then it looked more like a sloppy joe than a barbecue sandwich. Again, on the sandwich, it was good. Add some of your favorite barbecue rub, and it would help tremendously. Now for the Kansas City style burnt ends with barbecue sauce, which I was really looking forward to trying. Again, it's 1 pound of fully cooked gluten-free product for around $6. Curly says he's savoring one of the best barbecue experiences ever with Curly's Kansas City style seasoned beef brisket burnt ends. Curly's cookouts echo the distinct jazz music and the scent of smoldering barbecue. Thanks to Curly's, he's enjoying sweet and tangy flavor both as a meal and a snack, something he can't get enough of. Curly wishes we could taste this. Well, Curly, I'm going to taste your burnt ends soon. Uh-oh, when I see the word product, my crap-o-meter goes off. The first ingredient is beef and potato starch product. Some of you may think this means it contains beef and potato starch, which it technically does. But the way I read it is the beef and the potato starch are one ingredient and processed into formed meat, because if it was 2 separate ingredients, it would read beef, cornstarch, not beef and cornstarch product, which means one ingredient in my mind. Then the rest of the ingredients I'll assume are for the sauce. There's 3 2/3 cup servings per container. Per serving, there's 300 calories, 16 grams of total fat, 6 grams of saturated fat, no trans fat, 55 milligrams of cholesterol, 1,420 milligrams of sodium, 23 grams of total carbohydrates, less than 1 gram of fiber, 17 grams of sugars, and 16 grams of protein. The burnt ends come wrapped up just like the pulled pork. The only difference is this is refrigerated and not frozen. So pour the beef into the plastic container, then microwave on 50% power for 2.5 minutes. Give it a good stir, then microwave for another 30 seconds at 50% power. After being thoroughly heated through, it was the moment of truth for Curly's burnt ends, which look absolutely nothing at all like burnt ends. It looks more like gourmet dog food, to be perfectly honest. When I went to take a bite, it did look like a real piece of meat at first, but boy, it ended there. I bit into it, and the first thing I tasted was an overbearing saltiness. I love salt, I love country ham, but this is saltier than any of the country hams I've ever had. I mean, the saltiness really punches you in the mouth, like Tyson in his prime. The texture of the meat was not spongy like normal processed meats, but it was obvious to me that it was certainly processed just by the mouthfeel. If these burnt ends were not sauced, they'd be 110% inedible. Even sauced, in my opinion, they're still 100% inedible. The saltiness is simply overwhelming. Salt licks aren't even this salty. I only tasted a couple pieces and stopped the review. Horrible job there, Curly. I sure wouldn't put my name on that. And with that said, they get a rating of 0 out of 10. So other than the pulled pork not being real pulled pork, there wasn't a whole lot wrong with it for store-bought pulled pork. The flavor was decent. The texture of the meat is what it is. We all know this wasn't cooked over an open pit. I'm pretty sure it was cooked in an industrial-sized pressure cooker. But like I said, I've had some pretty decent crock-pot barbecue, and I would compare Curly's pulled pork to average crock-pot pulled pork. Not great, not bad, but totally edible in a pinch. So with that said, I'm going to give Curly's IPA-style pulled pork a 5 out of 10. If you'd like to help support the Wolfe Pit, please consider being a patron. You can pledge as little as $1 a month, that's only $12 for the whole year. Or you can pledge more, that's up to you. Either way, every little bit's appreciated and helps me produce more high-quality videos more often for you, the people. Thank you all very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.